some services are now working with carers over the phone, and so they need to post out the About You booklet to them. So what would you advise in terms of making that first contact?
I would always put a covering letter in with the About You booklet. I would also mention it to the person I'm visiting who's the patient, so they might want to let the carer know as well to expect it. That can often help. And also make sure that the carer understands that I will be following up, that it's not just a letter and something popped through the post, that it's important that when they receive that there will be a follow-up conversation, either by me over the phone or maybe when I'm next visiting their loved one that's unwell.
Practitioners tell us that they often find that the patient and carer are sitting side by side on the sofa, and it can be quite difficult to get a separate space to have a conversation with carers. So have you got some tips in terms of handling that situation?
Personally, I have found that on occasions myself, and it's really important that the person who has the illness understands that we also want to understand what matters to the carer. So it's about having an honest conversation with them both, but also explaining to that person, because they will have one-to-one time with me, that actually it's just as important that their carer gets that one-to-one time. And I've not had any difficulties when I've done that.
It's about carers who are quite happy to complete the About You booklet, but they actually want a bit of time to think about doing it. So you can't actually carry on and have the conversation with them at the one contact. So what sort of things would help in that situation?
A few things that I've done. So you can't always stay, and they want that time to reflect. So it's important that you have an arrangement that they know that you're going to be getting in touch to specifically focus on how they found completing the About You booklet and any support needs that can be identified through that. And that can be done over the telephone. It doesn't have to be a face-to-face visit. I remember something very similar happening where I left the About You booklet with a patient. Their carer came in, read the booklet and rang me pretty much straight away, because they saw that as a golden opportunity for them to talk about what mattered to them.
We're always aware that carers can be really reluctant to take the focus of patients. So, you'll know better that often they'll say, oh, well, I'm fine, don't pay any attention to me, it's the patient that's the most important to be looking after. But we also know that carers have their own support needs as well. So how do you get over that sort of hurdle?
I always try and explain to the carer that actually they're a partnership, and whatever's happening to the person they love will have an impact on them. And the carer themselves, how they're feeling, they may not realise it, but that will also be impacting on their partner or their loved one. So I always try and get them to see that they are just as important, because we can't care for the one on their own. We have to care for them both together. They're a whole unit as well as their family.